How about if we take a look at this game, as we've now got some openers in terms of Miami versus Indiana. Relatively tight line here at 839, 840 on the board, and this is one where you want to be shopping around if you're taking a look at the opener, because Indiana at DraftKings opens up a 2-point favorite. I'm seeing where I sit at circa a 1-point favorite, and Dwayne Colucci, who joined me, he does a great job over at the Rampart Races Sportsbook. They've got this game as a pick'em, and your total on this game is anywhere between 146.5 and 148, and as long as you're able to get down below 2, I'm willing to lay with Indiana. I did set them as a 2-point favorite. So once again, do shop around. If you like Indiana, you probably want to be taking a look at one of those ones. If you're able to get down on the pick'em, absolutely terrific. If you're taking a look at Miami, you probably want to be taking the 2 and or just a straight up money line to be able to get a plus price in this ordeal. But with Indiana, I do think that Trace Jackson Davis is going to be the most dominant low post player in this game. Nor Chad Omier was able to play for Miami, and I will say, no Chad Omier looked a little bit better than I thought he was going to. He was able to have 12 points, 14 rebounds in 36 minutes against Drake. So, no question, he is back to his normal self, as he's been able to supply the team for the season with about 13 points, 10 boards, block per contest, but this is still a Miami team that I've had trepidations with them on defense. Now, not to say that Indiana is necessarily the 85 Bears with their defense either, especially when they have been on the road, because with Indiana, they've actually got some relatively massive home and road splits, which most of these Big Ten teams do, as they entered in the NCAA tournament, giving up 10.9 points more per 100 possessions when they are away from home than when they are at home, as Indiana overall right around 90th in the country entering into the tournament in terms of points allowed on a per possession basis. Miami 208th in the country, but they are giving up right around 2.2 points fewer per 100 possessions when they leave home, which I find to be very intriguing. And for Miami, you do have the more experienced backcourt in this ordeal, as you've been able to have a pair of guys in Isaiah Wong along Justin Miller be able to do a rock-solid job, giving you about 31 points per game. That was going into the Drake game, as they had a combined 12 points in that game. They actually had more rebounds and points in that game against Drake, as that was a pretty bowling ball shoe ugly, as they shot about 30.5% from the floor. You got to figure that they're going to be a little bit warmer, as Nigel Pack was the man that bailed them out in that game. Overall for the season, Pack has been packing it in with about 13.5 points, 2.5 assists, shooting in the neighborhood of about 40% from three-point range. But the reason why I do like Indiana in this ordeal is that you just have so much size. Trace Jackson Davis, 21 points, 11 rebounds, 3 blocks. He's going to be able to dominate that with that regard. And then you've got Race Thompson, who's able to give you 6 rebounds per game. Malik Renew is able to come off the bench. He's able to give you some production. And typically, young guards aren't necessarily guys I'm looking to invest too much in. But I love what I saw out of Jalen Hood-Schifino in that game against Kent State. Not necessarily from a scoring perspective, but this was the most significant stat to me. Just 2 turnovers. And that is big for Indiana. They don't need Jalen Hood-Schifino to go out there, give them 20 plus, just shoot lights out from three-point range. They need him to not turn the ball over, because you've got Miller Kopp shooting about 45% from 3 with about 8 points per game. You get 7 or so points per game out of Tamar Bates. He's shooting in the neighborhood about 38, 39% from three-point range himself. So I think what is very big is for him to just keep a clean sheet. He was able to do so against Kent State, one of the best teams at being able to generate turnovers in all of college basketball. And for Miami, they aren't generating those turnovers that they did when they made the NCAA tournament run in the Elite Eight a season ago, which is why I did set Indiana as a 2-point favorite. I'm willing to take them in this ordeal, and both of these teams have been shaky with their defense, so it is a total which I did set at 150. So I'm going to be willing to go over regardless of if you've got more around a 147 or a 148, and with Indiana, anything below 2 is a take for me on them.
Visit VSiN.com to get current odds, listen for free, find showtimes, and download VSiN sports betting podcasts.